So Ninajirachi's debut album, I Love My Computer, easily one of last year's most interesting electronic releases. It dropped back in August 2025, and honestly, she hasn't slowed down since. We're talking EDC Las Vegas, a three-show run with Porter Robinson, a U.S. tour with multiple sold-out dates, plus Spotify's Equal Ambassador Spotlight, and a nod from Rolling Stone, the Australian New Zealand branch, where she was part of the Future of Music list. The whole concept of the album is actually pretty sweet. It's all about how she grew up in like rural Australia, and she didn't have much of a scene or like clubs or anything like that. And her community was built through her computer. And so this whole project is dedicated. I love my computer. It's dedicated to her computer and how it helped her form a sort of music community. So this record, in her way, is going back to that room. It reminds me of how when you look at the J Cole rollout, he does these interviews, and he did this interview with Apple Music with Nadeska, and he goes back to his room in Fayetteville, right? So this is that sort of kind of like tribute to the start of her origin story, right? And it's just basically telling the whole. She's pulling back from sounds that she was tapping into when she was learning her craft. That pretty much shows how she shaped into the artist that she is today. Sonically, I Love My Computer pulls from the early 2000s trance, electro clash, house era, but it never feels like she's just doing a throwback. Nina Wilson produced the entire thing herself, and you can hear it. It sounds like someone who studied the era inside out, then rebuild it with sharper tools, these new technology, the new systems right now. There's still a little bit of intentional lo-fi that's inserted throughout the project, like cracked software, pixelated edges, but the bones of that nostalgic thread is still clearly visible throughout. The genre hopping works. We're talking electro house, techno, some trap music, a little bit of trap music in there, pop, and it all flows. Four tracks to definitely check out just to wet your palate a little bit here is iPod Touch. I really bring this one up because I was like, I saw the track list on iPod Touch. I'm like, what do you know about iPod Touch? Shorty's like 26 years old. Like iPod Touch. What you know about iPod Touch? Uh, but if she was doing her research, she was doing homework. Maybe she was one of these people. Like right now, people are getting into vinyl, and we might say, "Hey, what you know about vinyl?" But it made a resurgence. So maybe she was just deep into it like that. And so she titled iPod Touch. This one is bright. It's fizzy, instantly catchy. Feels like stumbling on an old playlist and remembering exactly where you were during that time, and how it helped fuse some of the affinity that you have towards trance music, house music. I remember I was in um, South Beach, South Beach, Miami, man. The house music down there, the Miami house is way different than the house music everywhere else. People usually people say house music in Miami isn't really house, but there's our own little vibe that we got down there. And so that's what it brings me back to. Fuck My Computer is another dope track to check out. This is electro clash with teeth. It's glitchy, it's punchy, a little dramatic, and somehow one of the most probably a little bit more of the emotional peak of the album. So definitely check that one out. Sisarak is another dope one. This one comes up. Where is this one on the project? Uh, where is this? Where does this one fall on the project? It is. It's the fourth track on here. Sisarak is actually the first um computer. I think what they call it, the first computer in Australia, and this thing probably was the size of like half of I think it was the size of like a room or something like that, right? So shout out to her for doing her research into this project. It's on brand for the project. I love my computer, and so naming this track after the first computer in Australia, and then for you to like grow this attachment to your computer. So dedicating a track to that is dope. This one is mechanical. It's hypnotic. It's very techno leading. very techno leaning, so away from the house and probably EDM kind of stuff. But this one is very, very much techno leaning. So check that one out. It's a slow build, but it really pays off towards the mid to latter half of the track. All I Am is probably the most immediate song here. It hit number one, and it was most played on Triple J. Triple J is Australia's version of like NPR music here, so it's a radio, public broadcast sort of thing, and it hit number one on there and most played. And when you hear it, it's instantly a hit. It got those blueprints written all over it. You can hear why. It's warm, it's melodic. There's a big lift in there. If you're new to her music, I say that's where you want to start. Easy entry point for you. The vibe of this whole project is generally overall joyful. It's nostalgic. It's a bit nerdy. I'll give you that, but it's self aware, and she leans into, um, what made her fall in love in the genre. It's almost like a tribute to to these rooms and these spaces that now she gets to command. She says in this interview, I was watching one interview with like, and she's kind of listening like what she identifies more in the music making process, from vocalist to producing to DJing, and she's just not getting to her DJ bag. So she really hasn't even been DJing that much. She's really identifies more with the producer side, which is natural because she didn't really have that scene growing up. She's really starting to do more DJ sets. She talked about in the interview how like, man, if you were part of like a set that I played 3 years ago, 2 years ago, like I'm sorry, I apologize because y'all had to put up with some shit because I don't know how to do transitions. I the drops wasn't timed right and all that stuff, and the mixing just wasn't the live mixing was just not hitting right. It was just not polished, and so shout out to her for having that again self awareness and all that right. But the production side, when she could be in the lab, which is what I love. I'm usually in the lab. I'm either writing or doing something like this. When I'm in the lab, give me time to do it in the lab. I may not be the best at the live read or the script recital and all that kind of stuff, but like put me in the lab where I could produce that joint. She comes up with some magic, and that's what she's got going on here with. I love my computer, so I love that for her. I love that it's not any sort of like escapism, but it's expansive. It's about figuring yourself out through the weird corners of the internet, through the software you pirated back when you were 14. I know I was on that LimeWire. I was on that, Netscape, getting all that stuff. Pirate Bay. Shout out to the OG Pirate Bay. Right on. Right. Through the forums and through SoundCloud, all those wormholes that ended up, shaping the taste of music that you have till today. I remember being at FIU and having like I was like kind of low key the DJ of the quad. You feel me? And so I wasn't DJing, but I had the music. I was the music curator, right? Since then, opened up the window and I was on the first floor and had the speakers facing outside and folks were coming and going, people chilling out on the quad, and it was my music. It was my music that I was playing throughout, right? And so I had to make sure I was up on game on everything, right? And I never got any complaints. So shout out to those moments, man, and that shaped us from back then. Throw this thing on when you are feeling like you're doing like a digital reset. Maybe this is probably a great time to listen to it. You're reorganizing your photos, or something. Maybe you got to make space in your hard drive, like I had to do the other day, and put some on the external hard drive. Throw this on. You got to use all that clicking and clacking. It makes it feel a bit like it's part of a ritual, right? It's part of again a digital reset, spring cleaning, if you will. This is the perfect backdrop for that sort of job. Maybe you're setting up a new device that you got, right? You're doing the email verification and all those things. You're doing your settings right. Make sure you get the night mode and all those kind of things on there. This is a dope project. Just throw on in the background, and just vibe through it and just like let it get you in that digital headspace of yours, right? And turn something that may just be a chore into a ceremony. So shout out to Ninajirachi for having this concept and for following all the way through with it. I love my computer. Maybe her debut her debut project, but it's doing exactly what she intended it to do. It's smart. It moves. It carries really emotional weight. Under the shine, there is grittiness, there is authenticity, there's like mistakes that are like, wait, no, was that intentional? Was that a mistake? But somehow it freaking works. If you grew up online and you're still trying to figure out some of these complicated feelings you have about being prolifically online, this is the project for you. And this one is gonna hit. It's gonna hit different.